In this video, we're going to show you the top 7 best baits to use to catch more and bigger catfish every time. How to use them, where to use them, and why. Let's go. Why should I use live bait for catfish? Simple. It is natural prey for them and what they eat every day. So there is no more attractive option to the catfish than live bait. Catfish are very opportunistic feeders and will always go after familiar food sources first, especially when one appears wounded, struggling, or injured. And live bait fish like bluegill, shad, and herring emit natural scents and vibration in the water, which the catfish can pick up from far distances, and then they hone in on the target, even in murky or muddy water and at nighttime. Of course, the natural movement and wiggle of the fish on the hook is irresistible to catfish because it triggers their predatory instincts every time. Live bait fish will catch every species of catfish hands down, and it is by far the flathead's favorite food choice. Just make sure to hook your bluegill in the 6 to 8 inch range up front behind the dorsal fin or up through the lips so that the fish swims more naturally and will stay alive longer. And we would be using a 7/0 or 8/0 octopus circle hook to be able to handle this larger bait and, of course, get a good hook set in a much larger catfish like the flathead. Of course, you have to make sure that using live bait is legal in your area. In many western states it isn't, and you want to make sure the fish is hooked securely but not too tightly, so you can ensure it is swimming freely and naturally while hooked. Hooking bait up front is key because many larger and predatory catfish, like the flathead, prefer to attack prey head first. And the way to ensure you have the most success catching the biggest catfish every time is to cast into heavy underwater submerged structure, deep holes, and drop-offs where catfish are known to hide in ambush mode, and to stay cooler and protected from predation near submerged logs, trees, heavy vegetation, and large rock piles. Using liver as bait for catfish is also a very popular and highly effective choice, especially for channels. Why? Very easy. The strong and pungent odor that liver emits can attract catfish from far away, typically up to about 100 yards. Chicken liver is rich in blood content, which dissolves quickly in the water and creates an irresistible scent trail for them to follow. Liver is also high in fat and protein, which is a staple in the catfish's diet. And the texture of liver is soft and pliable, which is very desirable to catfish. And you can freeze it for year-round use like you see here. Because liver is soft, it does come off the hook easily. So the hack is to stuff a big ball of it in pantyhose like you see here, if using nylon is legal where you live. And that keeps the bait secure and allows you to cast it out into the farthest and deepest sections of the pond or lake, and it'll stay put very well after dozens of casts once the barbed hook is lodged into the hose. We have found the most success over the years with chicken liver, but many die-hard catfish anglers also swear by beef liver because it is tougher than chicken liver and easier to hook and stay put, and you can usually keep it together without the need for pantyhose, especially if they're illegal where you live. You might just have to buy this at a butcher shop instead of your local grocery store. And some folks use turkey liver, which is somewhere between chicken liver and beef liver in its toughness. You can probably get away hooking it a few times and making a number of casts with it staying together without the need for pantyhose again, but you may have to rebait every 15 to 20 minutes or if it flies off during far casts. Okay, bait 3, one of the most versatile baits of all time, the live, juicy, plump nightcrawler, which will catch every single freshwater fish that lives in water. The natural movement, wiggle, and scent that a live worm emits is highly attractive to catfish, and it gives off a scent trail that they find very readily. And with live bluegill as well, worms create vibration in the water that catfish can detect easily and come to investigate as a potential food source. A great hack to keep your worms much more lively and alive longer is to keep them in the refrigerator year-round in a good ventilated styrofoam container. And to feed them, just dust a little cornmeal on top about once a week. So move your butter, milk, and eggs around and make plenty of room for Mr. Wormy in there. Okay, now on to shrimp for both freshwater and saltwater catfish for all species. Shrimp also gives off a very strong and distinct scent that all catfish find attractive. The scent trail, like those of live bait we've covered already, bring catfish right into feed for a delicious meal. They are more apt to bite down and hold onto the shrimp because of its supreme flavor and taste. You can use shrimp for catfish either fresh or frozen, but we prefer frozen so that they stay put on the hook better and are more easily casted out without falling off. All we do is just thread 2 or 3 shrimp in the 2 to 3 inch size onto our 5/0 octopus hook, and she's ready to go. Now, some die-hard catfishermen also soak their shrimp overnight in heavy garlic or anise oil or even Kool-Aid, cherry, or strawberry flavors for extra attractant, but we just use them straight out of the bag. Shrimp are always a flavorful, effective, and reliable bait that simply will catch catfish no matter where you fish or whatever the clarity of the water is. Okay, we've wrapped up with the live baits, so now on to some other great options we have used time and time again as proven catfish catchers. Catfish love chicken, and most meat for that matter. So when you have chunks of chicken or gizzards left over from dinner, hang on to them. So here's a great trick. Just put all these big chunks of chicken meat and guts into a large glass jar, keep it off the ground so nothing crawls into it, and let it marinate in the hot sun for a few days until you can't stand the smell any longer. Then it's ready to serve to our whiskered friends. It'll almost seem like it's moving on its own, but that's a good thing. Just have to hook a big clump onto your 5/0 circle hook and cast into your favorite deep sections of the lake and around any underwater submerged cover or vegetation. Make sure you've got your large, heavy 8 to 9 foot catfish rod and at least 30-pound braided line spooled up with your landing net nearby. Okay, on to bait 6, my absolute favorite bait of all time to catch channels and bullheads in ponds and smaller inland lakes, the frozen cheese-filled hot dog. These ain't just your ordinary hot dog. These things are packed with immense flavor, tons of salt, fat, protein, and cheese. And once they hit the water, it's literally only minutes before the catfish finds it and inhales it. And they work great, especially in muddy or dark-stained water. Now, we use them frozen so they stay on the hook better and they won't fling off when you cast into the deepest sections that we've talked about already. We break the hot dog into 2 and pinch off the ends first so all the delicious inside goodness is on full display as soon as she hits the splash in the water. I promise you, folks, these cheese-filled hot dogs will put you in the catfish zone. We have caught more channels and bullheads on these than any other bait on the planet. They will work for you, too. Like with some of the other baits we've talked about already, some folks like to soak these in Ziploc baggies with garlic or red Kool-Aid flavors, but we use them right out of the frozen package and actually catch more cats unflavored. Okay, we've made it to the end. Thanks for watching so far. Bait number 7. Last, but certainly not least, is stink baits, doughs, and pastes. These are especially designed and formulated to attract catfish with very strong and flavorful scents, even from a distance and in darker water. You can easily mold these baits onto your octopus hook, and they stay well together even after a few casts and if you're changing spots every 15 to 20 minutes if you don't get any bites. Now, many of these recipes are made out of cheese, especially Limburger cheese, which is the most disgusting smelling cheese on earth, blood, fish oils, and other stronger smelling attractants that you can purchase commercially, or you could mix up at home if you consider yourself a catfish chef. We would always recommend using the first 6 baits first that we've already covered, but we always have stink bait packages with us on hand that we can use in new lakes, or when nothing else seems to be working that day to get them to strike, we go to the stink baits. Okay, we'll leave you with this, folks. To catch bigger catfish every time, use bigger baits. Use 2 or more large night crawlers. Use a full hot dog. Use 3 or 4 pieces of shrimp. Just make sure you give the fish what they want, and you'll catch more fish and bigger fish every time, especially if you're casting and fishing into the deepest section and around underwater structure and cover. Good luck. Go get them. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. Please like this video, hit the subscribe button before you leave, and don't forget to enable your bell notifications so you never miss another great video coming your way.